All right, welcome back to the program. My guest, as you have seen, the Ambassador Adamo Abdulhamid, Nigeria's ambassador to the World Trade Organization, is with me here at the table, not virtually right now from Geneva. The last time I spoke to him, we spoke via Zoom. Welcome to the program. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much.
It's good to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's get started. I will come to why you're in Nigeria, but I want to get started with Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's visit to Nigeria in 2021 after she assumed office as the DG of WTO. She had an official visit to Nigeria in March of 2021. What has changed from that time till now? We're in 2023, since after her visit, because I know she had meetings with stakeholders. You were there, you came, yes.
Yeah, I came with her.
Yes, you came with her, you know, I visited a lot of, had several meetings then with, I think, the NEPC.
Yeah.
I was in a couple of some of the meetings with also some business, I think Dangote and co.
Exactly.
Yes. So what has happened since then?
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I always appreciate AIT and your program.
Thank you.
Because it enlightens people of what we do outside Nigeria, at least for the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians. Since the emergence of Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as the Director General of the World Trade Organization, a lot has happened. First, from that period that you mentioned that we pay a courtesy call on Mr. President just to appreciate the recommendation of Doctor for the position of the Director General, which we worked tirelessly till her emergence as the DG. One of the first things she has done is an issue of transformation of the World Trade Organization. She came as a reformer, and of course it was one of her promises to the members. And she has launched that issue of transformation so that the WTO, even at the internal level, should be able to structure its own work to serve the interests of members, as every member is expected, as well as to focus on the global reality of the 21st century. So that is being worked, the work is ongoing. Then, as you may recall, she was the first Director General that achieved an unprecedented achievement during the MC12 ministerial, which we were able to realize about 10 decisions. It was very unprecedented. It has never happened, but it has happened for the first time. And during that period, we were able to strike a deal on fisheries subsidy agreement.
Yes, I was coming to that.
Which had been there for over 20 years. So
20 years, and she had it done.
Yes, she had it done. Only the second segment of it that we are negotiating now on overfishing and overcapacity, and then what we call special and differential treatment, which is supposed to be a component of support that should be given to the developing countries like Nigeria, so that they will be able to implement the agreement when it is in force. Apart from that, there are a lot of work being done with regard to the joint initiatives. We have e-commerce joint initiative, we have investment facilitation for development, and then we also have another initiative on small and medium enterprises, which we want to materialize it, you know. And again, the other aspect is services domestic regulation, because it's viewed that some of the commitment by members need to be enhanced, so that other areas that were not too active should be active. And Nigeria, fortunately, is one of the key members of these initiatives, and we're in the forefront negotiating these issues. At the moment, they are on plurilateral arrangement, but as soon as they are done and all members key into them, then they will be multilateralized. And I believe it's for the benefit of the world, because the global situation is changing. We are moving into digitalized world, and therefore we shouldn't be left behind. So that was why our leaders, thanks to the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, and Otumba Adebayo Adeniyi, and then the ambassador, Mariam K. Katogun. They have really gave us all the necessary support to ensure that we are moving the train and we're achieving a lot.
Okay.
And again, for the first time, WTO was almost dying when she came in. She faced a lot of challenges, but I bet you the entire membership now knows that the WTO is back to life. Negotiations has continued, or like before she came in, that almost most of the things stopped. So members are really happy with what is happening now. A lot of technical assistance program. From her period to now, I was able to secure more than 10 technical assistance program for Nigeria.
Okay, because I was coming to the Nigerian part, that
Correct.
you're there as the ambassador of Nigeria to the WTO, and we have Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is also a Nigerian, as the DG. Of what have been the benefits of your appointments, so to speak, having Nigerians now, even at the head and also subhead, to Nigeria's trade? We talked about fisheries, for example. How can Nigeria maximize that fisheries agreement, for example? How can Nigeria maximize some of all these initiatives that you've talked about? What have you all done?
Thank you very much. With the coming of the DG, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, as the DG of the World Trade Organization, she's a DG of all the members. But Nigeria being her country, and I, as the Nigerian ambassador there, have a kind of special privilege of reaching to her anytime I want, because she needs to know what is happening. And of course, I have been mandated to also give her that 100% support. And of course, we are working toward that. Now, we came to Nigeria, we identified a lot of needs for the country from the WTO. We went back with her, we sat down, we shortlisted every support that's supposed to come to Nigeria as a member, and then we put it forward, one after another. So, and we got many of them done to Nigeria. Normally, such kind of support that comes on trade is not visible, but it has to do with a capacity building. It has to do with a support on way and guidance that the Nigeria should take advantage of, and that we have provided. I mentioned some few areas that we are working on, the joint initiative, particularly on MIS-MIS. The main target now is to see how could women be empowered.
Okay.
That wasn't visible before, but now she has put in a very good action on it, and then we're in touch with most of the agencies, Nigeria Export Promotion Council, SMIDAN, and the rest, and the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. So we're getting women involved into many activities in the WTO. When we did a program on WTO Business Forum, some Nigerians, very reputable in shea butter businesses and the rest, went and showcased what they have been doing from the time they got some training as a result of what we call standard trade development funds some years back. So some of them improved. They are into export of shea butter for millions of billions of naira. So she was invited, she showcased, and from there she got some partners. So that has been helping. And right now, women and gender in the WTO, we are packaging other programs that they're supposed to be participating. They're supposed to be having some capacity building on how to get access to international market in their own activities. So that is going on. In the other area of agriculture, where we have some challenges in terms of market access, in terms of non-competitiveness due to the support given by other developed countries, particularly under what we call domestic support. You know, some they are giving some support to act in excess to what they're supposed to, and that, of course, is affecting our performance, is affecting our competitiveness, and we're working on that. And more importantly, with the COVID-19 era, which affected virtually some of our exports, and of course the food insecurity issue in the country, we are working seriously on that to see how that is being addressed.
Okay, Now that you've talked about COVID, I also remember even during the COVID era, I had an interview with her
Oh, yeah.
in 2020, and she emphasized that time about digital services. At that time, I interviewed her even via Zoom and all of that. Is there anything being done now to enhance e-services in Nigeria, to enhance that trade along, trade could be in goods and services, but you know, through that communication channel, the e-channel, digital technology, yes, let me put it that way.
Yeah.
Are there some kind of support coming for, you know, trade along that line?
Of
Since
course
the
there
world
is.
has gone digital.
There is, because as I told you, that something on e-commerce has been launched, and Nigeria is one of the first African countries to join that initiative. And we've been discussing what should be done, and of course, particularly capturing some basic areas. That was why some month back I visited the Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Professor Aitamiya, and I discussed some issues with him there where we need to have some of our interests incorporated into the current agreement, and he provided me with some document which they have just finalized, particularly the issue of the national policy on e-commerce, the draft. So he gave it to me. I also visited some other agencies that are having a lot of things to do and to benefit from e-commerce. And we got them, and we tried to pick many of them and to incorporate into the current text that we are negotiating. The short code and many other things, we've been making serious effort to see that those things are captured. And there is one very basic issue that is being discussed on the issue of moratorium. They call it custom duty moratorium. That issue has been in the WTO ministerial decisions right from 1998. So it kept on coming up, renewing 2 years every time, because any electronic software need not to have a tariff charged to it, rather some taxes and so on. So it kept on being reviewed until they have a permanent decision on that. So that is being discussed. It was one of the outcome of the MC12 decision also. So we are also discussing on that. And then what we insisted now is that that moratorium should have a scope coverage, so that it will, some certain goods or services will not be taken advantage of the system to be coming to our country free of charge. So those things are being discussed, and then I believe that is going to benefit the country so much.
Okay. Before you came in, I did talk about a lot of huge challenges that Nigeria's trade is facing. Of course, multiple tariffs, multiple taxes, different things, inadequate infrastructure and all of that. You've been in the system for a long time. How do you think that we can solve some of these challenges? There's also the issue of border. Do you understand? We will have the after issue there, which is also another issue. So how do you think that we can solve some of those stringent challenges that are really facing us?
Thank you very much.
We can take one or two.
Thank you very much. You see, one area that we can take advantage of to address some of these challenges is trade facilitation agreement, which was concluded in 2019 during the 9th Ministerial Conference in Bali. So that particular agreement has clearly defined what agencies and the government should do, so that every challenges facing challenging the trade facilitation in the country will be addressed. For instance, our borders, the ports, you know. Most countries, as you may be aware, is that before a consignment will arrive, they will have finished all the clearance procedures, the payment, and everything. So as soon as the consignment landed, they are only coming to pick, and it is within some few minutes, and that has also indicated in the agreement for compliance. The issue of single window, which the customs some years back initiated, started working on, so that is a plus to the country, that we take advantage of the agreement and we make it done. Then thirdly, the issue of infrastructure, because that's the basic thing, the digitization of the port system and so on. So when that is done, that is a plus. Then fourthly, these barriers that most of our trading activities have been facing, of course, for instance, the export market, denial or rejecting some of our product, getting access to other countries of the world. Most countries of the world, they take advantage of two agreements in the WTO. That is the sanitary and phytosanitary measures agreement, as well as the technical barriers to trade agreement. So these are two agreements that provided a border security control measures, which every country can take advantage of the two to deny another country from exporting some product for certain reasons. For instance, those that had to do with the SPS, that is sanitary and phytosanitary measures, which are supposed to have a clean health system in animal and plant before you export. So they take advantage of their compliance procedures, of course, and the standard requirement for some of this. So if a country or an exporter exporting to their country and does not have all the requirements of the compliance, then they will reject that particular agreement. Nigeria has been facing that challenge, particularly on agricultural product to some countries, including the EU. So much effort.
Beans, they will say
exactly.
It's
so it's one of the areas that with myself and Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, we've been able to talk in the SPS division, where they have a facility called Standard Trade Development Funds. And that fund is to support the developing countries to get some facilities to train those export people in a particular area so that they will be able to get themselves fully acquainted with the export requirement of every country.
Okay.
We had one before, which was given on shea butter and sesame seed. So this time around, they are going to concentrate on the application of pesticide residues in agricultural products, so that you shouldn't
and that
apply
happens,
much
yes,
more. Exactly.
On beans and all of
exactly.
that.
So that should not be beyond their requirement, so that when any goods is exported to any of them, of course, it will tally with their requirement, and then we'll continue too.
Ambassador, we have 1 minute
right.
to go.
Okay.
Let me ask you this question. I heard you clearly when you did say earlier on that facility, perhaps you mean financial assistance to developing countries. Is there a way whereby developing countries such as Nigeria can have financial assistance? And why I'm asking this question is also, is there like a relationship between the WTO and IFC? I know there is. International Finance Corporation. Well, Makta Diop is the head. I just came back from Washington, D.C., and Okonjo-Iweala as well as Makta Diop had a session which I was there. And I heard clearly that some countries are taking advantage of that to improve their trade and export. I don't know if Nigeria is in the mix of all of that. So just give us a brief very quickly.
Thank you very much. Nigeria is in the midst of every happenings in the WTO. Okay. So with regard to every support that will go to members, they don't monetize it. So what is there is to quantify what will be done, how much it will consume, and they will fund it. So not that they will send some money to the country, no. But if country need this, they have to do certain assessment, then quantify how much it will cost, and then they will give the detail of what will be. Then WTO will approve that, and then assign expert to work with the country to make it done. So that kind of support that you mentioned with ISF, that she committed to see that countries, developing countries, are helped in terms of e-commerce because of the data issue, you know. So, and of course the trade finance too, because some of the small and medium enterprises, they need such kind of funding and support and so on. So these are some of the areas they have been working on to see that fund is generated from those donor multilateral agencies to the WTO, so that WTO could provide those support to the developing countries, including Nigeria.
Okay. I think we'll leave it at that. We'll
Okay.
continue this conversation on another day.
Okay.
Thank you very much. In a
Thank
way,
you.
you subtly told us why you are here in
Yeah,
Nigeria. That's why I
yes.
didn't ask you anymore, because
Okay.
you said that at the beginning. So
Okay.
thank you for coming.
Thank you
and
very
safe
much.
travels back to Geneva.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, I've been speaking with Ambassador Adamu Abdulhamid, who is Nigeria's ambassador to the World Trade Organization, WTO. We've been talking about what they've been doing with Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, a proud Nigerian at the helm of affairs there. That's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. It's been a week. Thank you all for your company. Please join us again next week. Be the best you can be, but the change that you want to see. I am Nancy Naji. Bye now.